Okay, so Blade is now on the hunt. We already know he's a monster, but now we've got a female throwing motorcycles. A group that clearly thinks the city is the purge, a doctor who doesn't know who to trust, and a vampire who seems to be steps ahead of everyone. Welcome back to Keepin' It Comic, and today we're continuing with the Blade Red Band series. Now, in case you don't remember what happened, after the events of Blood Hunt, Blade was left physically and mentally scarred. Possessed by Varney, the first vampire, he turned several heroes into vampires. Blade only survived because of his daughter bloodline, but the trauma left him struggling with guilt and self-punishment. Seeking solitude, Blade retreated to a remote island in Southeast Asia, living as though he was already dead, punishing himself for the actions he committed while possessed. Despite his isolation, Blade's senses remain sharp, and his peace is interrupted when a mysterious man named Damien arrived, bringing word from the spell guard. The group claimed that Blade must kill Pontius Van Helsing, a rogue vampire hunter now dabbling in dark magic. Though reluctant, Blade was drawn into this new mission, setting the stage for this intense showdown with Van Helsing. Now, we see our man getting suited up and ready to go. And he's like, I can dwell on what happened with me, Varney possessing me, using me, but I won't. The present moment, that's all that matters. My present moment is being sent by evil to stop evil. And I don't know about y'all, but this man is walking right down the street with a badass sword on his back. I don't think this is the person you want to be near. And someone says, new man, die fast here. It has a revolver to Blade's head. And Blade says, put the gun away, turn around, run. I don't have time for this bull. And this dude said, no, run when I hold the gun. And before it can finish saying click, Blade has dodged the bullet, twisted this man's arm, broke it, and now has a gun to his mouth while he's begging wait, and shoots him right in the face. Another voice says, newcomer, you're far from home. And we get a group of people all armed. Blade says, I haven't even broken a sweat, and they're too stupid to notice. Another person shoots, and Blade is gone. Someone says, circle up, and you can see the smoke from where Blade was, but he's no longer there. See, Blade done jumped above them on a ramen sign and cut it down, and he lands right on this group. A voice says, I knew when I rejected his offer to slay some vampires, Damien would send someone after me, but I never thought it'd be you, a damn vampire. Wonderful. And Blade's like, you know Damien? And she's like, I just said that, Blade. And he goes, and you know me? You're not gonna make me kill you, are you? And she says, I wouldn't make it that easy, but chill. You come into my war-torn country, tearing down signs, and I'm the bad guy? And just then, a guy with a sawed-off shotgun's overhead on a motorcycle. And she says, let me handle this. So Blade dodges and says, ladies first. And oh man, she cracks her neck, and the guy on a motorcycle speeds right towards her. And she says, you watching, vampire? And she punches the motorcycle and sends the guy flying. And as he's tumbling on the ground, she hurls the motorcycle in the air, and it lands on him. And right as it lands, she pulls out a gun, and she shoots the motorcycle and makes it blow up. Talk about savage. She tells Blade, more coming. Won't be a problem, but no reason to be here all night. Follow me. I need to eat, and the last thing I need is to be caught hanging around a pile of dead bodies and a vampire. Blade says, I'm not a vampire. And she says, whatever makes you feel better about it. My place is a mess. Keep your judgment to yourself. So they get to this place that looks like the smallest bat cave in history. And she says, if you know Damien, then I assume you know about Pontius and how he's seeking a spell to make himself a god. The spell guard ain't with it. And she says to Blade, what? And he says, your arm, it's tech. And she says, don't tell me, you're a techno bigot too? Yes, my arm is metal. So are some of my bones. I'm lactose intolerant, and I sit down when I pee. Good enough for you? And I think Blade, he might have found his match when it comes to the humor. He says, not judging, just never seen homebrew tech like that before. And she says, maybe you spend too much time in fancy places. Big world out there, tons of possibility. Hold on, here, And remember that humor I was talking about? She threw this man a piece of raw meat. She says, "You're a vampire. There's blood in that. Figured you could suck on it or something. I'm trying to be a good host here." And Blade says, "I don't suck on whatever kind of meat this is." Pause. I don't like that line, but hey, that's me per se saying that. And he goes, "I'm not a vampire, and I'm not hungry. I'm here to kill Pontius. Been hoping all of your bull would lead to some assistance in the matter. If not, then I'm gonna go my own way." And she says, "Why should I trust you not to turn on me?" And Blade says, "Elena, do you have any idea how many people have asked me that? And my answer is always the same. You don't have to." And man, Blade is cold as ever. He already knew who she was this whole time. And she thought she was ahead of the game. But she says, "I have to. I don't like vampires. I don't like magic. I don't like the spell guard." And Blade responds, "I don't like monsters with magic books that can break the world. I'm not here to work on behalf of some madman. I'm here to stop another one from rising to power." And she says, "Okay, I believe you, for now." And then she just took a huge chunk out of that raw meat she gave Blade. And he says, "You're not gonna cook that? It smelled a little off." And she says, "My body processes protein better raw. Side effects of the wetware." And he said, "Bon appetit." Now, while she's telling Blade a story about how Pontius is tricking these people who are sick or injured, and that's how he's building his army, she's also tinkering with a device. She throws it over to Blade and tells him to hold it for a second while she's getting dressed. She says, "When I refused to kill Pontius for Damien, I wondered who'd he convince to do his dirty work. Figured you were part of his hit squad." And Blade said, "I didn't know you existed until 3 hours ago. What am I holding?" And she said, "I'll take that back now. Thanks. I'll help you find Pontius. Truth be told, I was gonna try to kill him anyway. I just didn't want to do it under the orders of a psychopath." And Blade said, "Just like that?" And as she's tinkering, she said, "Just like that." And then she said, "You made quite a scene out there, and I brought you here, so I'm sure people saw us. This place is burned now. Let's go." And Blade said, "Goes where?" And she said, "You have 5 seconds, Blade." And as they walk out, a fire erupts in her apartment. They get into a car where Blade gets in the driver's seat and Elena rides shotgun. And he goes, "Where are we heading, Elena?" And she said, "Toward hell." And Blade replies, "I'm familiar." And at some point, these two done switch driver seats because now they're being chased. And Elena's like, "I should have let you drive again." And Blade's like, "Told you." And oh man, this girl is driving with one hand on the wheel and another on this weird looking gun that has a tracking device on it. And she shoots. The guy ducks down and she ends up hitting the driver in the head. And Blade is just like, boom. And the Jeep flips over. And Blade's like, "Elena, we ain't done." They bring humanitarian supplies on this road. And she says, "Only road there is." And Blade steps out. And he says, "Then they need to leave it alone." And he hurls his sword, which goes right through the driver's windshield and right through the driver's mouth. Then Blade jumps onto the roof, backflips off while grabbing his sword, and stabs another driver right in the chest. And she says, boom. And just like that, both of the other cars are off the road. And then Elena asks, "Was that just a pride thing? I blow up a car? So you had to act out a whole movie trailer?" And Blade says, "I get antsy when I'm sitting still for too long. Where are we going again?" And Elena says, "To one of the few good people out there." And Blade said, "She can help find Pontius?" And Elena responds, "Pontius likes suffering. She's always at the center of that." Blade doesn't say a word and jumps into the driver's seat. And Elena says, "Sure, you drive. Glad we talked that out." Later that night, they reach some hospital where there's dead bodies everywhere. And Blade said, "Looks bad, Elena." And she says, "Sure does." "What the hell, Shay?" And Blade says, "Shay?" And Elena says, "Dr. Shay Marcus. I kept telling her righteousness was gonna keep her alive. Don't think she heard me." And Blade says, "Pontius did this." And who exactly is this? Well, let me give you a little detail on that. See, this triage center is in the middle of a war zone. And we get a story of a lady coming in with debris all in her. And Dr. Shay is like, "We need to get her a transfusion, stat." We just got our last shipment, doctor. The blockades aren't letting anything else in. And the doctor asks, that's her blood type, correct? And some mysterious person said, I am certain, doctor. And Dr. Shea says, I think we're losing her. What's her blood pressure? And this mysterious guy says, we will not lose her. She will be fine. And she says, she's flatlining, damn it. And this mysterious guy says, patient, Dr. Marcus, patience. And all of a sudden, we start to see all of her wounds healing. And she jumps up spitting blood with red eyes and claws. And Dr. Shea is in awe, scared for her life. And this thing on the table says, rah. And this mysterious figure says, no. That woman wanted to save your life. Let us not lose gratitude. And Dr. Shea is on the ground with a blade. Stay back, whatever you are. And all of a sudden, this mysterious person gets rid of this doctor outfit. What I am is not your enemy. What I am is the help you need. Look past your horror and listen to me. Yes, I am a vampire. Now this woman is as well. But I mean you no harm. And she is learning herself. Forgive her demeanor. She will adjust. And Dr. Shea says, what did you do to her? And now this person that we know as Pontius says, I saved her life with the second death. Of course, I lied to you about the blood. The transport never made it. None of the violence was by my hand, but there was violence nevertheless. So the blood is mine, and now it is hers. And Dr. Shea says, are you going to hurt me? And Pontius replies, not at all, doctor. If I told you the scope of my intentions, none of it would make much sense to you. When you have lived as long as I have, you tend to forget contemporary understanding. The common grammar eludes you. So let me be simple. I want a nation of my own. This region at peace, and the space to pursue the power of magic itself, so the universe will fold to my will. But this region is at war at the moment. Innocent people are dying, and they need your help. I want you to keep your oath, doctor. Save people, then bring them to me. And Dr. Shea says, you want me to help you make more vampires? That sounds like the cardinal opposite of my Hippocratic oath. And he responds, what if I told you I made Hippocrates laugh once? And she says, oh God. And he says, we can speak of him later. Today, I'm offering you my protection. Protection it seems you need currently. Hear that? And it looks like that same group that Blade was fighting earlier is also outside of the medical unit. And they're yelling, no medicine. Doctors, come out now. Now, we're not asking again. And she says, please, you should leave. I don't want to be here. And this guy says, bring sweet woman here. And as they grab Dr. Shea, as she's screaming, no, let go of me, Pontius says, feed. And all of a sudden, that vampire from inside comes out and rips out somebody's heart. And Pontius says, you waste your fear upon me, doctor. Choose life. Now, back to the present time, because remember, Blade and Elena are here. And Elena says, looks like his work. She might be in here. Let me find her first. And Blade licks a piece of the blood that's on the ground, and he sees everything that has transpired. And he says, right, nothing is ever simple. And Elena screams, Blade, you should get in here. And what do they see? They walk into Dr. Elena on a pile of bodies. And it says, none of this concerns you, Blade. Follow the finger and lead. Blade says, if your friend is in Pontius' art, I'm sorry. I have a sense of him now. I can find him. And she says, he knows you. He knows you're coming for him. And Blade explains, sometimes we can sense each other, see each other with eyes from the second world. If I could explain it, I would. If I could stop it from happening, I would. And she screams, he killed my friend and turned her into a message for you. And Blade says, lately, I've been responsible for a lot of suffering. There's a lot of blood on my hands, Elena. And all of a sudden, Blade gets shot right in his back. And Elena says, I'm starting to get that. I know this won't kill you. And she shoots him again. I lied. I don't know where he is. I was just hoping you could find him. And I could use you to help my friend. Too late for her. Just in time for you. Blade musters up and says, Elena. And she says, save your strength. If he wants you to leave, then you matter to him. and you can bring him to me. I was honest about one thing. I do hate magic, and I hate these vampires. And she shoots Blade again while saying, I'll be driving from here on out. And oh man, what an incredible read this was. I mean, the action is all there, everything we can expect. But I mean, what is really up with this Elena chick? She went from, I want to be on your side to, oh, I was just faking the funk the whole time. I feel like there's something more with her, and we're probably not going to get that for another couple of issues. What are your thoughts on her, though? What are your thoughts on this whole thing with Pontius? Because he's playing like the good vampire who wants to take over the world. It's giving me Thanos in the MCU vibe. You know, oh, I have good intentions, but I'm still going to do the worst things possible to make it happen? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video to help with the YouTube algorithm. And make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future content. Join our Patreon and follow us on social media. Links are in the description. And until next time, thanks for kicking it with KeepinItComic.